So, a lot of things have changed for musicians in the past couple of years concerning gigs and such. And those $100 gigs are starting to look a little bit more enticing. But should you be doing them? Well, let's talk about it. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. So about 2 years ago, I did a video on why musicians should stop doing gigs for $100. And it's one of the more popular videos on my channel, and you may have come to know this channel through that video. And if you haven't seen the video, I'll link it in a card above. But in that video, I lay out reasons as to why and how doing gigs that are less than your value or less than your worth are hurting you a lot more than they're helping you. Everything from how it depreciates the music industry to how it makes you more complacent as a musician to how it lowers your perceived value. But that was 2 years ago, and a lot of things have happened since then. A pandemic has happened, and it hit the music industry really hard, and it put a lot of musicians out of work, some who still haven't recovered to this day. So the question becomes, Terrence, have you changed your mind about whether or not musicians should be doing $100 gigs? And my answer is no, not in the least bit. You still should not be doing gigs for $100 if you want to be successful as a musician, and here's why. And let me just say off top that this is not a one-size-fits-all type of thing. Obviously, there are contingencies like what country you live in, whether or not you're doing this as a hobby, or other things. And all gigs are not the same. I mean, if your next door neighbor who is your friend wants you to come over for a get together and they just so happen to want you to perform one song and they were going to pay you $100 and you were going to be there anyway, well, technically that's a $100 gig, but okay. But there is a part of this that applies to even those types of situations. Look, there's a principle in the entertainment industry that says you don't get paid what you're worth. You get paid what you ask for, or you get paid what you accept. And you have to understand that when you start accepting things at a certain level, you are dictating your value to other people. You're literally saying, I'm okay with what you're offering me right now. And conversely, when you start to reject or say no to things that are beneath your worth, people start to value you much higher. And really quickly, if you're getting value out of this video so far, do me a quick favor and subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on this video. Go ahead and do that now. That lets me know that you appreciate this content, and it lets me know what type of content I should be making for you in the future. Now, okay, sure. Saying no or rejecting certain gigs and certain price gigs probably means less of those types of gigs and you getting less gigs. But it also means that the type of gigs that you do get will be of much higher value. Your price is directly related to how people see you. High profile events and conferences and huge events with large amounts of people with a lot of money in the room, the people who coordinate those events don't tend to hire people in that $100 musician range. They tend to go for a higher level, a perceived higher level of musician. And that perceived level comes from the amount they charge. And again, that's because there is a certain perception that comes along with lower priced things. They automatically think, oh, only $100? They must not be that good. We all tend to do this as it concerns price with things. We see some things as more valuable than others simply because of their price. And have you ever heard of the phrase guilt by association? You could be the most talented musician or artist or band in the world, but if you start hanging around and doing gigs with a certain level of musician, you will become associated with those types of musicians. It's not at all to say that musicians who do those lower price gigs or $100 gigs or however you want to refer to them are bad or they're negative in any way. In fact, I know quite a few of them personally that are much better musicians than myself. But it is to say that at this level, as does other levels, There's a particular way that it's seen, and it's usually not of high value. That $100 gig range is usually not seen by people with money as something of high value. People with large amounts of money don't tend to shop at Walmart and the thrift store. They shop on Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles, California. Now, also, it's important to know that being successful in this industry and really being successful at anything is about taking risks. It's about preparing and treading the road to where you want to go while ignoring distractions. And things like these low-paying gigs, these $100 gigs, can be huge distractions. You can easily end up getting so many calls for these types of gigs and doing these types of gigs that it completely derails you from your road to success. In fact, this is what happens to a lot of musicians. They get caught up in this whole ego thing of getting all of these calls for gigs, but they've been doing the same thing for like 20, 30 years, and they're still doing gigs for like $100. And one of the biggest pushbacks that I get when discussing this is the thing where people say, oh, where more gigs, even the lower paying ones, can lead to more opportunities. And my response to this, outside of the eye roll that I give first, is not necessarily. First, any opportunities that come from these types of gigs are much more likely to just be the same type of gigs as it concerns pay. It's more likely the case that when you're playing in that circuit, the opportunities that come into that circuit are of the same caliber. And even those types of opportunities are not as plentiful as you may think. Also, this same argument can be made about higher paying gigs. The more of those you do, the more opportunities come from them. Now look, am I saying that you should never ever do a gig for $100 or a gig beneath your worth in life? No, absolutely not. It's really your life and your career, and you can do what you want. What I'm talking about here is a path to becoming successful. And that path of the $100 gigs, the $100 musicians, is much less likely to lead to any sort of success, any meaningful success, than say you're doing gigs where you're charging your value, you're charging your worth, and people are seeing you as important and valuable. Could you achieve or get to success in this $100 gig vein? Sure, it's possible, but you could also hit the lottery, and that hasn't happened yet. And that's because the path to success, or in the event of hitting the lottery, the path to becoming rich is much less likely to happen than a path to becoming successful where you work hard, where you put in the work and you charge your value and you charge the things you're worth, and people see you as important in what you do. And that is the same as this $100 path to success versus the higher value path to success. But the question is for you. What do you think about musicians doing these lower paying gigs and $100 gigs, as we're calling them? Do you yourself do them, or do you know other musicians who do them? What do you think about it? Jump down in the comments and let me know. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that. And hey, did you know that there are a bunch of free resources that I've put together just for you? Everything from an ebook that will give you 10 tips on how to make more money as a musician, to contracts that you can use to book high-paying gigs, to set list templates, and much, much more. And you can find them all in the description of this video, so make sure you jump down and check those out. And thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope that it was helpful for you on this topic of playing these sort of lower paying gigs versus doing gigs of more higher value. And here are some other videos that you can check out right now.